June 6, 1944, 7:45 in the morning. A Canadian infantryman stands in landing craft assault number 309, 1,200 yards off Juno Beach. The tide is rising faster than predicted. The beach obstacles are underwater, invisible. The coxswain cannot see them. The landing craft hits a mine at 7:46. The explosion tears the ramp off. The craft begins sinking. 32 men are inside. June 6, 1944, 7:35 in the morning. Juno Beach, Normandy, France. 49.33 degrees north, 0.45 degrees west. The sea is gray. The wind is northwest at 18 knots. Wave height, 5 to 6 feet. The highest waves of any beach on D-Day. Water temperature, 54 degrees Fahrenheit, cold enough to kill in 20 minutes. 14,000 Canadian soldiers are approaching a 7-mile stretch of Norman coastline. The 3rd Canadian Infantry Division. They have trained for this moment for 4 years. Some of these men enlisted in 1940 when Canada declared war on Germany. They have waited 45 months to fight. Today they finally land, but they are landing late. H-hour for Juno Beach was supposed to be 7:25 in the morning, the same as Gold Beach to the west and Sword Beach to the east, but the rough seas have delayed the Canadian landing craft. They are running 10 minutes behind schedule. Some are running 20 minutes behind. 10 minutes does not sound like much, but in an amphibious assault, 10 minutes changes everything. The tide rises 8 inches every 10 minutes. The beach obstacles that were supposed to be visible above water are now underwater. The steel hedgehogs, the wooden stakes topped with mines, the Belgian gates, all are hidden beneath gray surf. The landing craft cannot see them. The coxswains cannot avoid them. At 7:46 in the morning, landing craft assault number 309, carrying 32 men from B Company, Royal Winnipeg Rifles, strikes a mine mounted on a steel stake. The mine is a Teller mine, 11 pounds of TNT. The explosion tears a hole in the bow. The ramp disintegrates. Water floods in. The craft begins sinking immediately. The men inside have full combat loads, 70 to 90 pounds of equipment, rifle, ammunition, grenades, entrenching tool, rations, gas mask, personal kit. The weight drags them down. The craft sinks in 53 seconds. Some men manage to swim clear. Some inflate their West life preservers and float. Some go down with the craft. 11 men from B Company drown before reaching the beach. They never fire a shot. They never see a German. They drown in 5 feet of water 100 yards from shore because the tide was 10 minutes ahead of schedule. This is Juno Beach, the Canadian beach. The beach with the highest casualty rate of any Allied landing on D-Day. The beach where 1 in every 10 men who landed in the first hour was killed or wounded. The beach that succeeded despite catastrophic losses. The Canadians took Juno Beach, but they paid for it in blood. June 5, 1944, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. HMS Hillary, headquarters ship for Force J, anchored off Southampton, England. Major General Rod Keller, commanding the 3rd Canadian Infantry Division, conducts his final briefing. Keller is 43 years old, career soldier, joined the Canadian Army in 1920. He is a large man, 6'1", 200 pounds, loud voice, blunt manner. His men respect him but do not particularly like him. He does not care. The map shows Juno Beach divided into 2 sectors, Mike's sector on the west, Nan's sector on the east. Each sector is subdivided. Mike red, Mike green, Nan white, Nan red, Nan green. 7 miles of beach total, longer than Gold Beach, longer than Sword Beach. Only Omaha Beach is longer. The assault will be carried out by 2 brigade groups. The 7th Canadian Infantry Brigade will land on Mike's sector. The 8th Canadian Infantry Brigade will land on Nan's sector. Each brigade has 3 infantry battalions plus supporting armor, engineers, and artillery. First wave at 7:25 in the morning. 8 infantry companies plus DD tanks. Second wave at 7:35. Third wave at 7:45. Subsequent waves every 10 minutes. The mission objective is straightforward. Land, clear the beach, advance inland. Capture the Carpiquet airfield 9 miles south of the beach. Link up with British forces from Gold Beach on the west and Sword Beach on the east. Establish a beachhead 12 miles wide and 9 miles deep by the end of D-Day. Keller tells his officers the expected casualty rate is 50% in the first wave, 50%, 1 man in 2. This is higher than the British estimate for Gold Beach, higher than the American estimate for Utah Beach. The planners at Canadian military headquarters have calculated this based on German defensive strength and fields of fire. Juno Beach is heavily fortified. The Germans have had 4 years to prepare. The strongest German position is at Courseulles-sur-Mer, a small fishing village at the mouth of the Suez River. The village sits in the center of Juno Beach. The Germans have turned it into a fortress. Concrete bunkers, pillboxes, anti-tank walls, machine gun positions in every building. The village blocks the only road leading inland from the center of the beach. Courseulles must be taken. If Courseulles holds, the entire landing fails. Major General Keller assigns Courseulles to the Regina Rifle Regiment. They will land directly in front of the village on Nan Green Sector. They will assault through the village and clear it building by building. Estimated time to secure Courseulles, 3 hours. The Regina Rifles have 583 men. If the 50% casualty estimate is accurate, 291 of them will be killed or wounded by 10:30 in the morning. The briefing ends at 4:15 in the afternoon. The men board their landing ships at 6 o'clock. The ships depart Southampton at 10:50 at night. The crossing takes 8 hours and 35 minutes. By 7 o'clock on the morning of June 6th, the Canadian invasion fleet is 8 miles off the coast of Normandy. The men transfer from transport ships to landing craft. The sea is rougher than expected. Many men are seasick. They have been vomiting for hours. They are exhausted before the battle even begins. At 7:15, the Royal Navy begins its bombardment of Juno Beach. 12 destroyers and 2 cruisers. They fire for 10 minutes, 5,800 rounds. The shells scream overhead and impact on the beach and the villages beyond. At 7:25, the bombardment stops. The landing craft begin their final approach. Distance to shore, 2,000 yards. Speed, 6 knots. Time to beach, 16 minutes. In those 16 minutes, the tide rises another 13 inches. Juno Beach is defended by elements of the German 716th Infantry Division, the same division defending Gold Beach to the west. But the defenses at Juno are stronger. The coastline is more built up. Villages provide natural strongpoints. The Germans have fortified every building. The sector from Courseulles to Saint-Aubin-sur-Mer, covering Nan sector, is defended by the 736th Grenadier Regiment. Commander, Oberst Ludwig Krug. He has 1,400 men defending 4 miles of coastline. That is 350 men per mile, more dense than Gold Beach. The strongpoint at Courseulles is designated Widerstandsnest 31, Resistance Nest 31. It consists of 8 concrete bunkers, 12 machine gun positions, 4 anti-tank guns, 2 75mm field guns in casemates, and 192 men. The commander is Hauptmann Ernst Müller. He is 31 years old, veteran of the Russian front, wounded twice, frostbite on both feet during the winter of 1940-142. He walks with pain but refuses to be reassigned. He considers coastal defense duty soft, easy. He is wrong. Müller has 6 MG-42 machine guns covering the beach. Each gun has 10,000 rounds of ammunition. He has marked range stakes every 50 meters from the waterline to the seawall. His gunners have rehearsed firing at those exact ranges. They know the precise elevation and windage for every stake. He also has mines, 2,800 mines on Juno Beach in his sector alone, Teller mines buried in sand, S-mines on stakes, regional mines shaped like bread loaves. Each mine is designed to kill men or destroy vehicles. The beach obstacles are the most elaborate on Juno. The Germans have installed 4 rows of obstacles extending from the low tide line to the high tide line. First row, Belgian gates, steel frames filled with concrete, standing 8 feet tall. Second row, curved steel rails embedded in concrete, designed to rip the bottoms out of landing craft. Third row, wooden stakes angled seaward, each topped with a teller mine. Fourth row, steel hedgehogs welded from I-beams. At low tide, all 4 rows are visible. At high tide, all 4 rows are submerged. The Canadian plan assumed a low tide landing. The beach obstacles would be visible. Engineers would blow gaps. Infantry would pass through the gaps. But the rough seas have delayed the landing. The tide is rising. The obstacles are going underwater. At 7:20 in the morning, Hauptmann Mueller stands in his command bunker and watches through binoculars. He can see the Canadian landing craft approaching. Hundreds of them. He can also see the tide. It is higher than it should be. The obstacles are disappearing beneath the surf. He smiles. The Canadians are landing late. They will hit obstacles they cannot see. Many will sink before reaching the beach. He is correct. 7:39 in the morning. Nan Green sector, directly in front of Courseulles. Private William Lauren of the Regina Rifle Regiment stands in landing craft assault number 427. He is 19 years old. He is from a farm outside Regina, Saskatchewan. He has never seen the ocean before joining the army. Now he is about to assault a fortified beach across an ocean. Lauren is 5 foot 7 inches tall. He weighs 148 pounds. He carries an Enfield No. 4 Mark I rifle, British-made, Canadian-issued, caliber .303 British, 10-round magazine, effective range 500 yards. He has 8 magazines, 80 rounds total. He also carries 4 No. 36 mils grenades, 1 entrenching tool, 1 day of rations, a full canteen, and a gas mask he will never use. Total weight, 83 pounds. The landing craft is pitching violently. Waves slam against the bow. Water sloshes over the sides. The men are soaked. They are cold. They are seasick. Some are praying. Some are silent. Some are joking to mask their fear. Lauren is silent. He is thinking about his family, his father, his mother, his 2 younger sisters. He wrote them a letter 3 days ago. The letter is in his breast pocket. It says, "If you are reading this, I did not make it. I love you. Tell the girls I was proud to serve." At 7:41, the coxswain shouts, 2 minutes. Lauren checks his rifle. He pulls the bolt back. He chambers a round. He sets the safety. His hands are shaking. He cannot tell if it is from cold or fear, probably both. At 7:42, the landing craft strikes something underwater, a grinding metallic scrape. The craft shudders. It does not explode. They hit an obstacle but not a mined one. The coxswain reverses engines. The craft backs off. He steers right and advances again. At 7:43, 50 yards from shore, the craft strikes another obstacle. This time there is an explosion, not underneath them, 30 yards to their left. Another landing craft has hit a mined stake. The explosion is orange and black. The craft lifts out of the water. It breaks in half. Men are thrown into the sea. Lauren watches. He can see men thrashing in the water, trying to swim, weighed down by equipment. Some disappear beneath the surface. Some float face down. Others are swimming toward shore. German machine guns open fire on the men in the water. Lauren looks away. At 7:44, his landing craft reaches shore. The ramp drops. Sergeant Harold Thompson is the first man out. He steps into 4 feet of water. He wades forward 3 steps. A German machine gun burst hits him. 6 rounds, chest and abdomen. He falls backward into the water. He does not surface. The men behind him hesitate. Lieutenant William Grayson, the platoon commander, shouts, "Move." "Keep moving." Grayson steps over Thompson's body and wades forward. The platoon follows. Larin is the 9th man out. He steps off the ramp into cold water. It is chest deep. He holds his rifle above his head. He wades forward. His boots sink into sand. Each step is an effort. The current pulls at him. The weight drags at him. Machine gun fire cracks overhead. Mortars are landing on the beach. German artillery is firing from inland positions. The noise is continuous. Explosions, gunfire, men shouting, men screaming. Larin focuses on one thing, reaching dry sand, 20 yards away, 15 yards, 10 yards, 5 yards. He reaches the waterline. He drops to his knees behind a steel hedgehog. He is breathing hard. His heart is pounding. He looks around. Bodies are floating in the surf. Bodies are lying on the sand. Wounded men are crawling toward cover. Medics are working on casualties. Landing craft are burning offshore. Tanks are bogged in the sand. Half-tracks are exploding. Larin's platoon landed with 33 men. He counts 18 men on the beach. 15 are missing. Dead, wounded, or still in the water. He does not know. Lieutenant Grayson is 10 yards to his right. Grayson is shouting and waving his arm forward. "Get to the seawall." "Move." Larin gets up and runs. The seawall is 100 yards ahead. He runs in a crouch. He zigzags. He does not know if this helps, but it makes him feel better. A mortar round lands 20 feet to his left. The blast knocks him down. He lands face first in the sand. His ears are ringing. He cannot hear. He lies still for 5 seconds. He checks his body. Arms, legs, torso, no pain, no blood. He is not hit. He gets up and keeps running. He reaches the seawall at 7:48 in the morning. He presses his back against the concrete. He is alive. He has been on the beach for 4 minutes. The Regina Rifle Regiment lands 298 men in the first wave at Courseulles. By 8 o'clock, 106 are casualties. 36% in 15 minutes. This is below the predicted 50%, but it feels catastrophic. Captain John Emmett of the Regina Rifles crouches behind the seawall and assesses the situation. He commands B Company. He landed with 132 men. He can account for 87. 45 are casualties or missing. The seawall is 6 feet high, concrete. It runs along the entire beach in front of Courseulles. It provides cover from beach fire, but not from the buildings inland. The Germans have machine guns in every window. They are firing down onto the beach from elevated positions. Emmett needs to get his men off the beach. Staying here is death. But to advance, they must cross the seawall, cross a street, and assault fortified buildings, all under fire. He has no tank support. The DD tanks were supposed to land 5 minutes before the infantry. They are late. Some sank in the heavy seas. Some are still circling offshore. The infantry is on the beach without armor support. Emmett makes a decision. He cannot wait for tanks. He must assault now. He gathers 3 platoons, 64 men. He briefs them quickly. First platoon will suppress the nearest building with rifle and Bren gun fire. Second platoon will assault the building. Third platoon will provide covering fire and follow-up. At 7:54, the assault begins. First platoon opens fire on a 2-story stone house 50 yards inland. The house has Germans firing from ground floor and second floor windows. The Canadian fire is intense. Rifles, Bren guns, 2-inch mortars. The Germans are forced to take cover. Second platoon charges. 32 men running across open ground. They reach the house. Sergeant Douglas Reed throws a grenade through the ground floor window. It detonates inside. Reed and 4 men enter through the front door. The interior is smoke and dust. 2 Germans are down on the ground floor, both dead from the grenade. Reed moves to the staircase. He starts climbing. A German soldier appears at the top of the stairs and fires a Schmeisser submachine gun. Reed is hit twice. Left leg, right shoulder. He falls backward down the stairs. Private Kenneth Moore is behind Reed. Moore throws a grenade up the stairs. It bounces off the wall and detonates at the top. The German at the top of the stairs goes down. Moore charges up the stairs. 3 more men follow. They reach the second floor. 1 room, 4 Germans inside. A brief firefight, point-blank range. 5 seconds, all 4 Germans are killed. 1 Canadian is wounded. The house is cleared. Time elapsed, 6 minutes. Emmett moves his command post into the house. He has a foothold in Courseulles, but the village is not secure. There are 37 more buildings between his position and the far side of the village. Each building must be cleared. This will take hours. 8:17 in the morning. Courseulles Village Center. The Regina Rifles are fighting building to building. The Germans are defending stubbornly. They are not retreating. They are fighting from every room of every house. Private William Lauren is with a 12-man assault squad. They are tasked with clearing a row of 4 houses on the southern edge of the main square. The houses are stone, 2 stories each. Walls 3 feet thick, windows facing the square. The squad approaches the first house from the side. They move along a garden wall. They reach the back door. Corporal James Harper tries the handle. Locked, he kicks it. It does not budge. The door is solid oak. Harper signals for a demolition charge. Private Eddie Walsh carries a 2-pound slab of plastic explosive. He places it against the door hinges. He inserts a detonator. He pulls the fuse lighter. 5-second delay. The squad takes cover around the corner. The charge detonates. The door blows inward. Harper enters first. Kitchen, empty, dishes on the table, a pot on the stove, the occupants left recently. Harper moves through to the sitting room, also empty. He signals Lauren and 3 others forward. They move to the staircase. Harper climbs. The stairs creak under his weight. He reaches the landing. 2 doors, both closed. He opens the first door. Bedroom empty. Furniture overturned. Personal belongings scattered. He opens the second door. Another bedroom, not empty. 1 German soldier. Standing by the window with a Panzerfaust anti-tank rocket aimed at the street below. The German turns. He sees Harper. He drops the Panzerfaust and reaches for a rifle leaning against the wall. Harper fires his Sten gun. 8 rounds. The German falls. The squad clears the rest of the house. Empty. They move to the second house in the row. This time the back door is open. They enter. Ground floor is clear. They climb to the second floor. 3 rooms. They kick open the first door. 2 Germans inside, both firing out the window at Canadian troops in the street below. They do not hear the door open. Lauren fires his rifle. 1 shot. 1 German drops. The second German turns and raises his hands. He surrenders. He is 20 years old. He is shaking. He is crying. Corporal Harper searches him. No weapons. He zip-ties the prisoner's hands behind his back. He sends him downstairs with 1 guard. The rest of the squad continues clearing. They clear 4 houses in 37 minutes. They kill 9 Germans. They capture 3. Canadian casualties, 1 wounded. By 9 o'clock in the morning, the Regina Rifles control the eastern half of Courseulles. The western half is still in German hands. Fighting continues. 9:43 in the morning. Nan Green Sector, eastern Courseulles. Captain Emmett receives word that DD tanks have finally made it ashore. 3 Sherman tanks from the 1st Hussars, 6th Canadian Armored Regiment. They are advancing up the street toward his position. Emmett moves forward to meet them. The lead tank is commanded by Lieutenant Gordon Brown. Brown is 22 years old, farm kid from Alberta. He has been in the army for 3 years and in combat for 90 minutes. Emmett briefs Brown quickly. Germans still hold the western half of Courseulles, strongpoint centered on the harbor. Concrete bunker with 75mm gun, multiple machine gun positions, estimated 40 to 50 Germans remaining. Brown nods. He says, "We'll clear it." At 9:51, the assault on the harbor begins. 3 Sherman tanks advance down the main street firing their 75mm guns at every building, showing German fire. High explosive rounds. They blow holes in stone walls. They demolish windows. They suppress defensive positions. Behind the tanks, 2 companies of Regina rifles advance in tactical formation. They use the tanks for cover. They move building to building. They throw grenades through windows and doors. They enter. They clear. They move to the next building. The German strongpoint at the harbor is a concrete casemate built into the harbor wall. The 75mm gun inside can fire along the beach and the harbor entrance. It is protected by 5 feet of reinforced concrete. Sherman tank shells cannot penetrate. Lieutenant Brown maneuvers his tank to within 60 yards of the casemate. He fires armor-piercing rounds at the gun embrasure. The rounds spark off the concrete. They do not penetrate. But they force the German gun crew to take cover. While the German crew is suppressed, a Canadian engineer team moves forward. Sergeant Paul Levick leads. He carries a pole charge. 18 pounds of plastic explosive on the end of a 6-foot pole. He runs to the side of the casemate. He places the pole charge against the wall beside the gun embrasure. He pulls the fuse igniter. He runs, the charge detonates. The explosion is massive, smoke and dust. When it clears, the concrete wall has a 3-foot hole. The gun inside is damaged. The crew is stunned or wounded. Canadian infantry assault through the hole. They throw grenades. They fire submachine guns. The position is cleared in 40 seconds. At 10:23 in the morning, Courseulles is secure. The Regina Rifle Regiment has achieved its objective, but the cost is severe. The regiment landed with 583 men. By 10:30, 108 are casualties, 18%. 42 killed, 66 wounded. This is far better than the predicted 50%. But every one of those 108 men is a person. Everyone had a name. Private William Lauren is still alive. He is exhausted. He is dehydrated. He has not eaten since the previous evening. He has fired 73 rounds from his rifle. He has 7 rounds remaining. He needs water, he needs food, he needs ammunition, but he is alive, and Courseulles is Canadian. 7:55 in the morning. Mike Red Sector, Western Juno Beach. In front of the village of Courseulles-sur-Mer, the Canadian-Scottish regiment is landing. They are 10 minutes late. The tide is high. The obstacles are underwater. Landing craft are hitting mines. Private Charles Martin watches from his landing craft as the craft ahead of them explodes. The bow lifts out of the water. The ramp flies off. Men are thrown into the sea. The craft sinks in less than a minute. Martin's craft veers left to avoid the wreckage. At 7:56 they reach shore. The ramp drops. Martin steps off into 3.5 feet of water. Machine gun fire immediately. German MG-42s from positions in the village. The sound is continuous. A ripping noise. 40 rounds per second. Martin wades forward. Men around him are being hit. He sees Private Robert Sullivan go down, hit in the neck. Sullivan falls face forward into the water. He does not move. Martin reaches the beach. He runs toward the seawall. Mortar rounds are landing. Artillery shells are impacting. The noise is deafening. He dives behind a knocked-out Sherman tank. The tank is burning. Heat radiates from the hull. Martin can smell burning fuel and something worse. Burning flesh. He looks around. His section landed with 12 men. He can see 7. 5 are missing. His section commander, Corporal William O'Brien, is 20 feet to his left. O'Brien is waving his arm, signaling advance to the seawall. Martin gets up and runs. He reaches the seawall. He drops behind it. He is breathing hard. He checks his weapon. Lee Enfield rifle. Still functional, still loaded. He looks at his watch. 7:59. He has been on the beach for 3 minutes. The Canadian-Scottish regiment will spend the next hour and 17 minutes fighting to clear Courseulles-sur-Mer. The village is smaller than Courseulles, only 19 buildings. But every building is defended. They will clear the village using the same tactics as the Regina Rifles: tank support, infantry assault, grenades and demolitions, building by building, room by room. By 9:16, Courseulles-sur-Mer is secure. Canadian-Scottish casualties: 62 men, 14 killed, 48 wounded. This is 11% of the regiment's landing force. Acceptable by the standards of amphibious assault, catastrophic by the standards of human life. 8:07 in the morning, Mike Green's sector. In front of the village of Courseulles-sur-Mer, western edge, the Royal Winnipeg Rifles are landing. They are 42 minutes late. The tide is now at its highest point. The obstacles are completely submerged. The landing craft cannot see them. Landing craft assault number 551 strikes a mine stake at 8:08. The mine detonates. The explosion kills the coxswain and 6 men in the front of the craft. The craft begins sinking. The ramp is jammed. It will not drop. Men cannot exit. The craft is sinking. Panic spreads. Men try to climb over the sides. The craft is listing. Water is pouring in. Sergeant Roy Farron takes command. He is 25 years old, pre-war regular force. He has trained for moments like this. He shouts orders. Stay calm, over the sides, inflate your me-wests, swim for shore. Men begin going over the sides in order. Farron goes last. He enters the water. It is shockingly cold. He inflates his life preserver. He begins swimming toward shore, 100 yards away. German machine guns are firing at men in the water. Farron sees tracers hitting the surface around him. He dives underwater. He swims submerged for as long as he can hold his breath. He surfaces. He gulps air. He dives again. He repeats this 5 times. On the 6th surface, his feet touch sand. He is in shallow water. He wades the last 30 yards. He reaches the beach. He collapses on the sand. He vomits seawater. He lies there for 30 seconds catching his breath. Then he gets up and moves toward the seawall. Of the 32 men on landing craft Assault 551, 18 make it to shore. 14 are dead or missing. The Royal Winnipeg Rifles land 543 men in the first 2 waves. By 8:30, 128 are casualties, 23% in 23 minutes. This is the highest casualty rate of any regiment on Juno Beach, higher than the Regina Rifles, higher than the Canadian-Scottish. The Winnipegs have landed in the worst sector. The strongest German defenses, the highest density of obstacles, the worst luck, but they do not stop. They clear the western half of Courseulles. They fight through streets and houses. They destroy pillboxes and machine gun nests. They advance inland. By 10 o'clock, they link up with the Regina Rifles coming from the east. Courseulles is fully secured. 11:15 in the morning, 2 miles inland from Juno Beach. The Canadians are off the beach. All 3 assault regiments, Regina Rifles, Canadian-Scottish, Royal Winnipeg Rifles, have cleared their beach sectors and are advancing south. They are behind schedule. They were supposed to be 4 miles inland by now. They are only 2 miles inland, but they are moving. Major John Dalton leads D Company of the Regina Rifles down a country road toward the village of Rivières. The company has 73 men. They started the day with 132. 59 are casualties. The road runs between hedgerows, bocage country. Each field is surrounded by earthen banks topped with dense hedges. The banks are 4 to 5 feet high. The hedges are 8 to 10 feet thick. Root systems go down 6 feet. Visibility is 0 beyond the next field. This is perfect defensive terrain. At 11:18, the lead section takes fire. Machine gun. German MG-42, firing from a hedgerow position 200 yards ahead on the left side of the road. The company goes to ground. They take cover in the ditches on both sides of the road. Dalton moves forward to assess. He crawls along the ditch. He reaches the lead section. He raises his binoculars. He glasses the hedgerow where the fire is coming from. He sees muzzle flash. One machine gun, maybe two. He cannot see infantry positions, but they are certainly there. He cannot advance down the road. It is a kill zone. He must flank. He orders 2 platoons to move through the fields on the right. They will circle around and assault the German position from the side. 1 platoon will remain on the road to provide suppressive fire. The flanking maneuver begins at 11:23. 60 men moving through bocage. They climb over the first hedgerow. They cross a field, wheat, waist high. They move in a line abreast. 5-yard spacing. They reach the next hedgerow. They climb over another field. This one is pasture, grass, cow manure, no cows. The farmers evacuated days ago. At 11:31, they reach a position parallel to the German machine gun. Distance, 100 yards. The Germans are facing the road. They do not see the Canadians flanking. Dalton signals. 2 Bren light machine guns open fire. Suppressive bursts. The German machine gun swings toward the new threat. Too late. Canadian riflemen are already charging. 40 men running across 100 yards of open field. They are shouting, screaming. This is not tactical. This is primal. The adrenaline is overwhelming. The Germans fire. They hit 3 Canadians. The rest keep coming. At 50 yards, grenades start flying. Mills bombs, 4-second fuses. They land in and around the German position. They detonate. Germans go down. At 20 yards, the Canadians are firing from the hip. Point-blank range. No aiming, just shooting. The Germans break. 4 men stand and run. Canadian fire cuts them down. 2 Germans remain. They raise their hands. They surrender. The position is overrun. Time from start of flanking maneuver to German surrender, 11 minutes. Dalton's company resumes the advance. They will fight 4 more engagements before nightfall. They will reach the village of Courseulles-sur-Mer by 6 o'clock in the evening, 3.5 miles from the beach, still short of the objective. But progress. 1:30 in the afternoon. Nan Red Sector, village of Saint-Aubin-sur-Mer. The North Shore Regiment, a New Brunswick unit, is fighting to clear Saint-Aubin. The village sits on the eastern edge of Juno Beach. It is heavily fortified. The Germans have turned every building into a strongpoint. The North Shore Regiment landed at 8:05, 40 minutes late. They suffered heavy casualties on the beach, 83 men in the first hour, 14%. Now they are in the village. House-to-house fighting, close-quarters combat. This is brutal work. Private Joseph Levesque is with a 6-man clearing team. They approach a 2-story house on the main street. Windows are shuttered. Door is closed. No signs of occupation. But they have learned not to trust appearances. Every quiet house might have Germans inside. Levesque's team leader, Corporal André Bouchard, signals the approach. 2 men cover the front. 2 men move to the rear. Bouchard and Levesque go to the front door. Bouchard tries the handle. Locked. He signals Levesque. Levesque has a 12-gauge shotgun, pump action. He fires 1 round into the door lock. The lock disintegrates. Bouchard kicks the door open. They enter, hallway. Kitchen on the right, sitting room on the left, both appear empty. Bouchard moves to the staircase. He starts climbing. A German soldier appears at the top of the stairs. He has a stick grenade in his hand, Model 24 Steelhand grenade, wooden handle. He throws it down the stairs. Bouchard sees it coming. He dives backward down the stairs. Levesque is in the hallway. The grenade lands between them. It has a 4-second fuse. Levesque does not think, he acts. He scoops up the grenade and throws it back up the stairs, all in one motion. Instinct, training, luck. The grenade lands at the top of the stairs. It detonates. The German soldier is killed instantly. Shrapnel and concussion. Bouchard and Levesque are at the bottom of the stairs. They are shielded by the staircase structure. They are stunned but not wounded. Levesque's ears are ringing. He cannot hear. Bouchard is shouting something. Levesque cannot make out the words. Bouchard grabs his shoulder and points up the stairs. They climb, carefully, weapons ready. They reach the top. The German soldier is down, dead. They check the rooms, 2 bedrooms, both empty. The house is clear. They move to the next house. By 3 o'clock in the afternoon, the North Shore Regiment has cleared the eastern half of Saint-Aubin. The western half is still in German hands. A strongpoint at the harbor is holding out. Concrete bunker, multiple machine guns, estimated 30 Germans. The final assault on the Saint-Aubin strongpoint begins at 3:47. Tank support from the Fort Garry Horse, infantry from the North Shore Regiment, naval gunfire support from HMS Belfast offshore. HMS Belfast fires 6-inch shells, 12 rounds. They impact around the bunker. The explosions are massive. The ground shakes, but the bunker survives. The concrete is too thick. The tanks move in. They fire at close range. 75mm armor-piercing rounds. They chip the concrete but do not penetrate. Engineers move forward with pole charges and satchel charges. They place 50 pounds of explosives against the bunker entrance. They blow the door off. Infantry assault through the smoke. They throw grenades inside. They fire submachine guns. The Germans resist for 4 minutes. Then they surrender. 23 Germans come out with their hands up. 7 more are dead inside. At 4:11 in the afternoon, Saint-Aubin is secure. North Shore Regiment casualties for the day: 107 men, 21 killed, 86 wounded, 6:30 in the evening. Canadian positions 3 to 4 miles inland from Juno Beach. The 3rd Canadian Infantry Division has stopped advancing. They are digging in for the night. They have not reached their D-Day objectives. The plan called for them to capture Carpiquet Airfield 9 miles inland. They are less than halfway there, but they are ashore. They are off the beach. They hold a continuous line 4 miles inland and 7 miles wide. The beachhead is secure. More importantly, they have linked up with British forces. To the west, Canadian troops from Juno have linked with British troops from Gold Beach. The junction was made at 3:47 in the afternoon at the village of Courseulles. To the east, Canadians have not yet linked with British troops from Sword Beach. There is a gap of approximately 2 miles. This gap will be closed the next day. By nightfall on June 6th, the situation on Juno Beach is as follows. Men landed, 21,400. This is 97% of planned strength. Vehicles landed, 3,100. This is 81% of planned strength. Tanks landed, 242. This is 87% of planned strength. Beachhead depth, 4 miles at the deepest point, 3 miles average. Beachhead width, 7 miles. Casualties, 340 killed, 574 wounded, 47 missing. Total, 961. This is a casualty rate of 6.8% for the entire landing force, far lower than the predicted 50% for the first wave, but concentrated in the assault units. The infantry regiments that landed in the first hour suffered between 11 and 23% casualties. The Regina Rifle Regiment, 108 casualties out of 583 men, 18.5%. The Royal Winnipeg Rifles, 128 casualties out of 543 men, 23.6%. The Canadian Scottish Regiment, 62 casualties out of 502 men, 12.4%. The North Shore Regiment, 107 casualties out of 614 men. 17.4%. These four regiments account for 62% of all Canadian casualties on D-Day, despite being only 22% of the landing force. That is the arithmetic of amphibious assault. The first men ashore pay the highest price. Juno Beach had the highest casualty rate of any beach on D-Day except Omaha. Why? First, the delay. The rough seas delayed the Canadian landing by 10 to 40 minutes. The tide rose. The obstacles went underwater. Landing craft hit mines. More craft were lost before reaching the beach than at any other beach except Omaha. Second, the defenses. Juno Beach villages, Courseulles-sur-Mer, Saint-Aubin, were more heavily built up than Gold Beach or Sword Beach. Villages provided natural strongpoints. The Germans fortified every building. This meant urban fighting, house-to-house combat, close quarters, high casualties. Third, the beach exits. Juno Beach had fewer exits than Gold Beach. Only 4 roads led inland from the 7-mile beach. This created bottlenecks, congestion, traffic jams under fire. Fourth, the terrain. Juno Beach had a steeper gradient than Gold Beach. Vehicles bogged down in soft sand above the high water mark. This delayed the movement of armor inland. Infantry fought without tank support for longer periods. Fifth, the luck. Some beaches got lucky, some did not. Juno Beach had more mined obstacles, more underwater obstacles, rougher seas, and worse timing than Gold Beach. The Canadians had worse luck, but they succeeded. They took the beach. They held it. They advanced inland. They achieved a deeper penetration on D-Day than any other Allied force except the British on Sword Beach. The Canadians on Juno Beach advanced farther inland on D-Day than the Americans on Omaha Beach would advance in 3 days. That is the measure of Canadian performance. They suffered the second highest casualties but achieved the second best results. They paid in blood, but they delivered. Private William Lauren survived D-Day. He fought through Normandy, through France, through Belgium, into Holland. He was wounded in the Netherlands in October 1944, shrapnel from an artillery shell, left arm and left side. He was evacuated to England. He recovered. He returned to Canada in March 1945. He was demobilized in June 1945. He returned to his family farm in Saskatchewan. He married in 1947. He had 4 children. He worked the farm for 40 years. He died in 1998 at age 73. He rarely spoke about the war. Sergeant Harold Thompson was killed on Juno Beach at 7:44 in the morning. He was the first man out of his landing craft. He was shot within 3 seconds of stepping off the ramp. He was 23 years old. He was from Winnipeg, Manitoba. He had a wife and a 2-year-old son. His body was recovered 3 days later and buried in the Courseulles-sur-Mer Canadian War Cemetery. His son was told his father was a hero. His son kept his medals in a box and took them to school for show and tell every Remembrance Day. Lieutenant William Grayson survived D-Day but was killed 9 days later in fighting near Bretteville. Sniper, single shot. He was 25 years old. He was a school teacher from Toronto. He had been engaged to be married. The wedding was scheduled for September 1944. His fiancée received the telegram on June 18th. She never married. She taught school for 43 years. She died in 2002. She left his letters and a photograph in a drawer. Her niece found them after she died. Corporal William O'Brien survived the war. He fought until May 1945. He was in Germany when the war ended. He returned to Canada in July 1945. He was demobilized in September. He moved to Vancouver. He worked as a longshoreman for 36 years. He had 6 children, 14 grandchildren. He attended Remembrance Day ceremonies every year until he was too old to walk. He died in 2009 at age 91. His funeral was attended by over 200 people. 6 Canadian soldiers in uniform carried his casket. Private Joseph Levesque, the man who threw the grenade back, survived D-Day but was badly wounded in July 1944 near Caen. Lost his right leg below the knee. He was evacuated to England, then to Canada. He learned to walk with a prosthetic. He returned to New Brunswick. He worked as a clerk in a hardware store. He married. He had 3 daughters. He died in 1987 at age 64, complications from his old wounds. His daughters scattered his ashes in the St. John River. These are 4 names out of 340 killed on Juno Beach. Each one was a person. Each one had a life. Each one had people who loved them and mourned them. Juno Beach is remembered in Canada in a way it is not remembered anywhere else. In the United States, D-Day means Omaha Beach. In Britain, D-Day means the entire operation. In Canada, D-Day means Juno Beach. The Canadian government built a memorial center at Juno Beach in 2003. The Juno Beach Center. It sits on the beach at Courseulles-sur-Mer. It is the only Canadian museum on the shores of Normandy. Inside are exhibits about the Canadian war effort. Uniforms, weapons, personal letters, photographs, oral history recordings. A wall lists the names of all 45,000 Canadians who died in World War II. You can search for a name. When you find it, the exhibit displays the person's photograph if one exists and their service record. Outside on the beach, there are memorials, stone markers, plaques. A large Canadian flag flies every day. At low tide, you can still see the remains of concrete beach obstacles embedded in the sand. The Germans placed them. The Canadians destroyed some. The tide and time buried the rest, but they are still there. Every year on June 6th, the Canadian government sends a delegation to Juno Beach. Veterans attended when they could. In 2024, there were 3 Canadian veterans of Juno Beach still alive. All were 99 or 100 years old. 2 were able to travel to France. They sat in wheelchairs on the beach and saluted while the Canadian national anthem played. Soon there will be no living veterans. Soon the last man who landed on Juno Beach will die. When that happens, Juno Beach will pass from living memory into history, but Canada will not forget. Canadian schools teach Juno Beach. Canadian children learn the names. Canadian families visit Normandy. They walk the beach. They stand where their grandfathers stood. They try to imagine what it was like. They cannot. No one can. Unless you have waded through cold water under machine gun fire, you cannot understand. Unless you have seen men die beside you, you cannot know. But the Canadians try to remember. Because forgetting would dishonor the sacrifice. 340 men died on Juno Beach so that Canada could say it fought for freedom. 621 more were wounded. They paid the price of freedom, and because they paid it, we do not have to. That is the legacy of Juno Beach. If you visit Juno Beach today, you will find a Norman coastline that looks peaceful. 7 miles of sandy beach, small villages, stone houses, tourists in summer, empty in winter. Courseulles-sur-Mer is a functioning town. Population 4,000, fishing boats in the harbor. Restaurants along the waterfront, a market on Thursday mornings. It looks like a normal French seaside town, but if you look closely, you see the history. Some buildings have plaques. This house was liberated by the Regina Rifle Regiment, 6 June 1944. Here fell Private John Smith, age 19, Royal Winnipeg Rifles. The seawall is still there. You can walk along it. You can see the bullet holes, thousands of them, small pockmarks in the concrete. Some have been filled, some remain. At low tide, you can walk the beach and see the remnants of obstacles. Chunks of concrete, rusted steel, pieces of metal embedded in sand. Most beachgoers do not notice them, but they are there. The bunkers remain, some have been demolished. Some have been buried by sand. Some stand empty, graffiti-covered, ignored. A few have been preserved. You can enter them. You can stand inside and look out the firing slit. You can see what the Germans saw, a perfect field of fire across flat sand. The Courseulles-sur-Mer Canadian War Cemetery is 2 miles inland, 2,049 graves. White headstones in perfect rows, Canadian maple leaf carved on each stone, names, dates, regiments, ages. Many are 19 years old, 20 years old, some are 18, one is 17. He lied about his age to enlist. The cemetery is maintained by the Commonwealth War Graves Commission. The grass is always cut. The flowers are always fresh. Every headstone is clean. At the entrance is a stone inscription. We, once alive, have given our today so that you may have your tomorrow. Visitors walk among the graves in silence. Some cry. Some take photographs. Some place flowers. Some stand at a specific grave for a long time. A grandfather, a great-uncle, someone they never met but whose absence shaped their family. Every June 6th, the cemetery fills with people. Canadians, French, British, Americans, they come to remember. They read the names. They stand in silence at 11 o'clock for 2 minutes. And then they leave. They return to their lives, lives that are possible because of the men in those graves. That is Juno Beach. A place where young Canadians died so that the world could be different. They succeeded. The world is different. We live in the world they died for. We should remember that.